All right. So I figured I'd just check in. It's July 1st. Beautiful sunny day. What can I say? I'm sitting next to Rudy, our cat. She looks majestic, but I think she's starting to lose her eyesight. She's getting that cloud over her eye. She's getting old. She's a beautiful little girl, though. Let's see. I've been told that I live with my head in the clouds, I guess. Throughout my life, people have been saying that. That I kind of, I live in, that I have a hard time staying grounded, which is pretty much true. I guess, it's part of being a Libra, apparently. I don't know how much, you know what, I'm not gonna lie, I do believe in that, the horoscopes and signs and stuff, but, it's an air sign, which makes a lot of sense to me because, I kind of keep my head in like a dreamy state. And as far back as I can remember, when I look out windows sometimes, just glancing out and I'll space out, I can remember being in class in high school and even in middle school and looking out a window and just, evacuating the building completely, like bringing myself to a far out mental state. I've always been able to escape, mentally and really go hard into some sort of a daydream. I'm really good at that, and I still do that. And as I've gotten older, I have to be careful because it gets worse. I can escape to that place. I'm better at it, and it's not the best quality to have, because I prefer that place rather than being here and grounded in reality. I find ways to leave, to escape. I mean, that's my thing, is escapism. I think that's why I had problems with substances early on in my life. It's just my way to escape, But it's such a dangerous thing to happen to a young person. If they find something, if you're in that awkward phase, like 8th grade, going into being a freshman, or 7th to 9th grade, you can hit like a very awkward stride where everyone around you is either ahead of you physically or behind you physically. It's just that awkward phase. So, and I felt like I was fat, like I was the fattest one of my friends, and I wasn't even fat. I was just kind of like had some baby weight. And so before I found a way to deal with that and like found my stride or my comfort zone at that age group and that level, I found weed. And I remember being depressed at that age. Like, I felt like things weren't going my way for the first time. Like, athletically, I was into sports and stuff, but my friends were better. And they developed like faster than I did, before me. It wasn't until like, I would say my sophomore year that I started to really like grow out of that awkwardness. And but by that time I had already found weed, and it had become a real crutch for me. That became my identity in high school, is weed. I mean, I hate to say it, but that was my identity in high school. Before that, as a young kid, like all my friends did was sports. We loved basketball, playing basketball, like listening to hip hop music. That was our thing. We loved it. You know, skateboarding as a young kid, not so much, but yeah, sports activities is how we identified. We all loved playing basketball. We all had hoops in our driveways, and that's what we did most of the time. We'd get together and play ball, and so that was my identity. And when we got to high school and it got real, like trying out for the team or what have you, I just wasn't good enough, and my friends were. Some of my friends were, and so that was part of it. Football really helped, but freshman year I didn't play at all. I was not good, and so that's when I found weed. Sophomore year I was much better. I got my chance. And I spent the summer lifting weights. But by then, like I said, I had found weed. And anytime things got hard, I knew that would take care of it. And and I think the thing that was scariest for me in high school was the thought of leaving high school or graduating high school and not leaving to college. That was like death for me. Really, it was at that age level, it felt like death. My sister had gone away. She lived in Israel. She went away to college. Like anyone I knew who I just saw success as someone who leaves and goes to college. And, you look forward to that. You're all through high school. And so when it came time for me, I screwed off in school so much that I barely graduated by the skin of my teeth, because I also went away to a junior year, went to a private school, and then got kicked out right before the end of the year. So that entire year, and I did very well there, got thrown out, and I had to repeat my junior year and senior year. I had to take all my junior classes senior year when I went back to South Hadley in order to graduate on time. So my senior year experience was much different from my friends. I had real classes, and I still didn't study, but I barely passed and I graduated. And I did make it into school because I was good at drawing, and I won this. Well, I did not want to play football going back to my high school, which was a mistake. Looking back, I still have dreams about the entire team playing and me not being there or being late, whatever it may be. And so, anyways, I got into University of Hartford, and I got a drawing scholarship. So that became my identity. I was going to do art. And my first day there, I find out that there's no room in the freshman housing. So I'm staying in this apartment style dorm with juniors and a couple other freshmen and one junior. And day one, I found the weed smokers, and that's all I did. That whole summer, I had just really dove into smoking weed, but I was excited about college. My senior year, weed started to inhibit my ability to socialize. So, it was like this domino effect, or like the snowball effect. One thing perpetuating the other. Like, weed had become my way to deal with stress or feeling out of place. But then again, weed made me very antisocial. So the more I smoked, the more stressed and out of place I felt, and which would lead me to smoke more. So really, it was just the snowball effect. I did okay at University of Hartford starting off. I did okay. My grades were decent come midterm, but I had missed too many classes. I wasn't going to class as as I should have been. And I was not failing though. My grades were okay. But my parents decided, well, he's screwing up again, and he didn't take this opportunity, and so we're gonna bring him home. No, they're like, we're not gonna play anymore, you're done. So coming home from University of Hartford, having failed, or having not made it, and being home after graduating high school, was death. I was done. It was the most mortifying, brutal feeling ever. And Holyoke Community College, looking back, it would have been fine. I probably would have gone to Holyoke Community College knowing that being home isn't death. And going away to college, you don't have to go right away if you're not ready. I could have used a couple years at HCC to prepare, choose a college, and then go. Kind of having been a late bloomer, but it's not. I was just mortified to be home, mortified. And so what did I do? I smoked more weed. I found drugs, and I found real drugs because I became very depressed. I immediately signed up for HCC semester, the spring semester, which was so stupid. Like, my parents said, well, you're not ready for college, so you come home and we'll pay for a cheaper college. It was just dumb. It was just my way of thinking, like, oh, I'm dying. Like, I'm coming home after high school, I'm a loser. And HCC seemed like a loser school. But it's not the case. But that's what I had in my mind, and so I didn't try. And I found, I used to get my weed in Holyoke, like in a bad neighborhood. And I remember going one day to get the weed, and they didn't have any. And I was thoroughly addicted, and I knew it. If I didn't have weed, I had a terrible night. And I couldn't even remember, going 1 or 2 nights without it. And so I remember I went there, and I would have taken anything. At that point, I had tried everything except for, heroin or something. I didn't know that heroin was available. And I go to buy weed, and the guy says, we're out. We don't have any. And I said, well, do you have anything? And he's, what do you mean? I said, do you have any coke, or do you have anything? And he hands me this bag, this little wax bag, kind of like 1 square inch, with this little brown powder in it, and it says "End of Days," ironically, because that's how they market that kind of stuff. I had never tried pills. Come to find out, my class, there was an epidemic with pills, Oxycontins and stuff, and I get looped into that epidemic of kids who got into it, but my experience was completely unique. I didn't go the same route that they did with pills first. I went from smoking tons of weed, and he didn't have weed, and he handed me this bag, and he goes, it's Chiva. He didn't tell me what it was. He says, Chiva, just sniff it, you'll feel good. And so I did. I sniffed half of it, and I felt great. It was the best feeling on earth. All my depression went away and nothing mattered. And so I went back and I said, let me get a lot of those, 10 of them, which is a lot when you first start out. And that's how the tragic tale of my life began. Because I was off and running once I found that stuff. And you know how that goes. I explored the deepest